Right, welcome. This is episode 15 of Spice and Wolf. We're gonna jump right into it right after episode 14. I think this is probably the last one I'm gonna record today, and might come out like a couple of days apart, depending on how and when I get this stuff ready. Spice and Wolf episode 15. Yeah, what happened last time? I don't have to talk a lot about that. What happened last time is pretty simple. We were introduced to a new town, which I forgot the name of the town. Silly me. But yeah, we made our way into it. We do have lodgings, and we're looking forward to the festival that's going to be happening in that town. We also have a good acquaintance in that town with whom we are gonna enjoy the festival. He seems to be a merchant colleague of Lawrence's from the early days, and he's now got kind of what Lawrence is dreaming to have one day, right? A shop, a wife, and a kid, an assistant, right? All of these things that are kind of the dream for the merchant's life, right? And he said earlier, like in the last episode, he said like, yeah, there's like sometimes I wish I was still a traveling merchant, which makes sense, right? There's disadvantages too to being a town merchant, which is like you are bound to your location. If something bad is happening to your location, there's bad economy or whatever, right? War, bad times. It's gonna affect you. It's gonna affect you a lot, right? If the crime rate is rising in your town, whatever. Now, on the other hand, that also means you identify more with people, have more friendships, have more connections there, and you will probably do a lot to actually make sure that your town is all right. That is a positive for the community in general. That is also a positive for you because people are going to watch out for you as well because you're part of the town. Everybody knows you. Depends on the size of the town too, but you know. But yeah, let's get into this and see what the plot of this arc is actually gonna be, because we've been introduced to the town, we've been introduced to like the friend of Lawrence's and the other like merchant acquaintance who is from the same like merchant association, who is kind of infatuated with Holo, which is super cute. And now we need to know what's gonna happen because yeah, there's always a central point, right? That's kind of creating tension and whatnot, and we haven't had that open up yet. So I'll be very curious to that. Also, holy shit, I didn't sync up, but it's fine. We're gonna just jump cut to the start of the reaction, and I'm gonna sync up in the meantime. Spice and Wolf episode 15 almost started accidentally. Starts in a 3, a 2, a 1, a bam. Ooh, and we remember like that original time when she was putting her back towards him, and we dreamed. Okay, what an interesting dream. There's some anxiety going on with his like connection to her, and maybe he's worrying if he didn't make it clear enough. Even, especially after the conversation last time, right? She was getting very emotional. All of this is beautiful. Also, this is that merchant's wife. Very fun. We do have the feathers. There's a lot more intimacy in this intro. Makes sense though, right? Vaguely remember these two characters. And the petals falling, right? And now they're feathers. Yeah, we'll meet this character too, I think. A lot of emphasis on companionship in this intro, I feel. And a lot of like interesting visual transitions from one thing to the next, like from one concept to the other as well, because like, oh, and we're looking for like people. They should do some actual work, right? Right? Introduce me, right? Bartos. Bartosz, maybe. Mm. Pays off to have friends, right? He's really gonna spoil her, right? The hell are you doing? Interesting, she's asking. She didn't ask before. Like a couple of episodes ago. Mm, that's a lot. She'd rather spend the time with you. But he wants it to be a surprise, right? You had to squeeze that in, right? It's always hot and cold with her, isn't it? Beautiful tone. I mean, it's just a town, though. Myths and legends are not always one to one, right? Coffin crushed vertically. Holy shit. Hmm. And we want to do something? Deal with? You mean you want to show Holo around town? Mm, of course. He's big. Of course, he wouldn't have trouble dealing with like scoundrels and whatnot. I mean, you're not that old yourself, are you? They are interesting. It is interesting to know your past. Mm. Even if it's just legends, even if it's just the product of the mind of somebody else. Money isn't everything. Mm. So they're allowed to live here, but yeah, kind of a ghetto, to so to speak. Oh, it's like an early warning system, kind of. Mm. Holy shit! Literally, this is giving me Witcher vibes for some reason, right? Like Witcher One, especially. Or wrongly assumes. Like Diane, kind of, right? It is messy. So she confirms the story indirectly. The moon hunting bear sounds Nordic. Mm, the location of an ancient town. She is searching her mind palace. Linus. A lone wolf. Hmm. Sounds very familiar. Yeah. He's got the ballpark now. Hmm. A story for a story. And he's telling the story of Holo, right? The continuation, which is interesting because now you have the connection in one house. Town at night, beautiful. Daijoubu desu, daijoubu desu. Ooh. Word travels fast. Oh, okay, but he knows about that. Hmm. I mean, he's talented. Nothing, nothing. Women are scary if they want to be. She's already drunk again. What is he, your mother? Just drops into bed. Of course it is. I mean, yeah, that's a big investment. She was hoping for a different answer, I think. She's a drama queen. She loves to do that shit. It does. Mm, do not underestimate the power of charisma and somebody who can sell really good. Hmm. You're just chilling on the balcony. What happened? I do wonder. Find out next time. I mean, you already know, right? You've seen it. Most of you probably seen the original series. I really like this. Ringo, are they singing about apples? I don't have subtitles for the ED. Yeah, we do see the winter clothes coming up. And the trees have autumn colors. It's the little details, right? Night of the festival in misaligned gear. Right. Cool episode. We're building the mystique. I really like the historian lady because she has this mysterious aura and she lives in a place which is like kind of more like outcasty. You do have that bird motif around, right? And this whole dealing with like a story for a story, which is very interesting, very cool. That you do not have that you do have people that don't work the way of like, okay, I'll give you money for shit. It's more, yeah. Obviously you need money to survive, but beyond that, maybe you hold something more valuable, right? There's something that you value more than just money. Um, so a story is far more invaluable to this person, especially if it's maybe even a sequel to a myth that she has heard before, right? We complement each other as like pieces of the puzzle. Um, and we just talk about stuff we're excited about, right? Myths and legends and whatnot, and we're having a good time doing it, exchanging information and musing about like um the maybe also the what of it is actually true and maybe what the stories can tell us even if they're not true. I mean, that's what we're doing here, right? I mean, it's not myths and legends, but it's very much many of the media we're consuming are built on myths and legends of the past um and all other like emotional stuff that people went through and that people have been processing by putting them out as media, sharing feelings, sharing emotions, sharing experiences and realizations, dealing with life, right? Art is amazing in that way that it processes these things and puts them out there for other people to pick up, and maybe the person who picks them up isn't picking up the exact same thing that the person that created it was putting down, but at the very least they're picking up a part of that and a part of what they bring to the table on their own. I mean, it's similar to like with legends and stories and myths, right? Because they're being told from person to person, and sometimes they're being written down, but other times they're actually passed on by ear for many generations before they're actually being written down, and then the story changes over time. And even with written text, right? If you have a different language, it's getting translated, things are getting lost, other things are getting added, right? Cultural context is going to be changed based on who is like translating it. And obviously the hope is also that part of the culture that we're translating is kind of coming over with that, right? And we can just grasp a little bit more of what makes the people that live over there and who the legend originated from, makes them who they are. But at the same time, obviously, there's things that will be lost in translation. There's things that will be added in translation and interpretation. And this is how stories are alive, right? How they're being processed even today. Yeah, great stuff, great stuff. I do love that angle, and that little element in there. Yeah, that was Spice and Wolf episode 15. Our plot is slowly building. We don't know what's got Lauren so worried, right? Maybe it's got something to do with the legends and whatnot, and there's some new information coming in. I would assume that's the case, right? Unless there's any unforeseen trouble we haven't, right? I'm pretty sure there's like foundations and foreshadowing being laid for the stuff that's coming up, but you can't always necessarily tell right away, right? Because the story is clever like that. It hides these things very well until the reveal comes and everything falls into place, and you're like, ah, yes, this is what has been happening. But that's one aspect I really like about this story. Yeah, I'll be seeing you on the reaction to episode 16, and hopefully on the review to 14 to 16 whenever it's gonna come out. So